Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to Ponderosa North for the love of Bonanza. Today is the day we talk about candy. And I have made no secret about the fact that I'm not that familiar with the candy years. I'm all about the king and the three princes. But I have to say, reviewing candy episodes, I was pleasantly surprised. Candy is a very likable, personable, competent, trustworthy, all around good fella. I I guess I'd sort of forgotten because I'm so focused on the first 5, 6 years that I don't pay that much attention to the Candy years. But I must say he's very, very likable. You cannot like Candy Canady. So the first time he appears is in the episode called Sense of Duty. And it's like a mysterious man dressed mostly in black sneaks past Ben Cartwright's lookouts and asks for a can of peaches and a horse. And that's kind of where it all started. You have to sort of hand it to David Dortort that he didn't replace Adam with another actor. He knew he couldn't do that. So, but he needed, add some more beef to the show and add some more characters. And he really hit the jackpot with Candy, played by David Canary. And that first time he entered the scene, he was great. I was, like I said, I was very pleasantly surprised after reviewing Candy episodes after a long, long period of time, how pleasantly surprised I was at what a great, wonderful character he was. And he became part of the family. He really, really did. But a very mysterious guy. He didn't want anything permanent in his life. They hired him as a foreman, come and work for us, and, they really liked him, and he was, always there to help, very helpful guy, but he was always, well, nothing permanent. I gotta move. I'm a mover. I don't stay in one place for very long, Candy says, but he did. He stayed for 5 seasons. He started in 1967. That was his first entrance into Bonanza, after David Canary was recognized by David Dortort in the movie Ombre with Paul Newman. And he picked the right guy. David Canary is a very accomplished musical theater actor, and he really could have had quite a career in musical theater. He wanted to be a doctor when he was a kid, David Canary did, but his dad said, you got a really good voice. You should go into acting. How often do you hear that? Not very often. So he did. He did his musical theater, and then he grew up in Ohio, and born in Indiana, and eventually moved to New York. And moving back a little bit, he was played football. He got a football scholarship at University of Cincinnati, and got offered a contract with the Broncos. He turned that down, and then he went to New York and started his acting career. Went to San Francisco and did a stint in the Fantastics, and then off to LA, where he started auditioning and eventually getting some movies and Ombre. And then David Dortort found him in Ombre and hired him as Candy Canady. So, like I said, he was a very integral part of Bonanza, no doubt about it. And many of his episodes were very, very good, and that's all down to David Canary. That's not wasn't an easy thing for him to do, but he took it on. And I'm going to show you a few pictures of David Canary. Here he is. What's this? This is in the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. So he was really quite accomplished, and I did a lot of musical theater. I'm going to show you some pictures of him here in musical theater. Very good baritone voice. So he had a lot in common with Pernell Roberts, actually, because they both had that musical theater background, and that's what they really, really loved. But this is an interview in Bonanza Gold magazine, and I'm just going to read you a few things that David Canary had to say about his stint on Bonanza. He says, Lorne Greene was a real gentleman. Only twice while I was on the show did he give me a tip, a note, a hint. He said he didn't take his advice, but he said Lauren didn't feel, like he was being snubbed or anything. He just thought Lauren was a really classy guy. Michael Landon, he says, was very friendly to him and had a good sense of humor, but he let you know who was the boss. Yes, Landon was pretty much virtually in charge of the show at that point. He'd go over the scripts, and if he didn't approve of the script, he'd say, "This is a piece of crap." And then he'd go away for a couple hours, rewrite the script, and come back again. So yes, by the time David Canary landed on Bonanza, Michael Landon had pretty much taken over. He says Dan Blocker had wonderful story. He had wonderful stories about Haas, and when he refers to Dan Blocker, he calls him a prince. So it's quite nice to come on a show where you're dealing with good people and talented people and people who are generous. And yes, Mike sort of took over the show, but it was successful for so many years. You can't really take that away from him. He says, in general, Canary remembers Bonanza set as a good place to work, though not always an easy one. The days were long, and location shoots in particular could be physically taxing. In order to stay in frame and all look about the same height, we wore lifts. I had 4-inch lifts in my boots. So did Mike. Remember I was saying that in the boot episode? Dan, I think, had a heel that was about a half an inch tall. I mentioned that because we would go on location where the temperature was around 100 degrees, and we would be out with very little shelter all day. And I just remember the slant of the boot where all the blood rushes to your toes and your feet would start to burn. Occasionally, you'd have to sit down and say, wait a minute, and take these things off. We had to take the shoes off before our feet burst into flames. That's so funny. I mean, ladies, we can all really we all really know that feeling of the high heels, and that, like I said, that is really hard on the body to wear 4-inch lifts all day long. Wow, that's a lot. He says the actors did not do all their own riding, which explains why after the first season, the Bonanza characters always dressed the same. So he's saying that when they went up to Tahoe, they do like a week of distant people riding around and doing their chases and things like that. And that would all be done by stunt people. So for continuity's sake, everybody just wore the same outfit for 14 years. How nice. So, yeah, David Canary, here's some more pictures of him. And of course, he went on to do All My Children, Adam Chandler. So yeah, he was a very accomplished theater actor. And like I said, Candy was a good guy. I hate to say it, but yeah, I really enjoyed when I went back to look at David Canary and in his Candy Canady character. Yeah, he was very good, and he was a very worthwhile addition to Bonanza. I'm just going to leave you on one note here with Candy. This is the way he used to wear his hat. And I would always say, Candy, darling, your hat's not doing you any good sitting on the back of your head like that. Like, he always used to wear his hat like that. And it's like the boots. There is a function to a cowboy hat. Here's a cowboy hat. It is designed to shade you from the sun and to direct water and any other sort of debris off your back and off your head. It's not really doing you much good like this. I don't even know how he kept it on his head, quite frankly. Anyway, let me know your thoughts about Candy Canady, and we'll see you next time on Ponderosa North for the love of Bonanza. Adios, amigos.